All right, well, it's down to this, isn't it? Game 3 here tonight, do or die for the Dallas Mavericks. Will they or won't they come through with at least one win, and hopefully tonight? Otherwise, it could very well be lights out. Well, it doesn't mean we can't bet on a side, bet on a total, bet on a bunch of props. We'll go over it all with you here, and we'll do it, of course, with the prop god himself, Andy Lang, in the house here on the NBA Tip-Off Show. And Andy, got to love these, every 9 days you get an NBA game now. It's fantastic stuff. It feels like we've celebrated 3 New Years, 2 birthdays, and an anniversary since the last time we had a game. But yet here we are ready to go here in the all-important Game 3. So just to start with, though, certainly from the prop betting perspective here through the first couple of games, are you going to approach this game status quo, pretty much what you've seen in games 1 and 2? Because the numbers are pretty much the same across the board as they have been here. Are you expecting anything crazy to happen, shifting from Boston to Dallas here tonight?
Well, the number, the spread really has thrown me off. I mean, I guess when you look at it, it does make sense. Okay, Dallas is going home. Okay, surely they can't shoot the 3 ball any worse than they did last game. Surely Kyrie is going to play a little bit better. And then, I mean, just, you do have to factor in the desperation factor. I mean, it's something that's a real thing. Like Mavericks aren't going to go down, without fighting. So, but -3 seems like a lot. Listen, if Dallas is going to win one, obviously it has to be this one. And if they win this one, and Boston looks a little shook up because without Porzingis, which by the way is questionable. I can't imagine where he plays, or if he plays any sort of minutes. I mean, it sounds like that you're risking a real long-term injury there. If you believe that Dallas is going to improve the shooting, I think you have to look at the over 213.5. The pace has not been there really with these teams, but the shooting really hasn't. I mean, Mavericks put up 89 points in game 1, 98. Okay, they're getting a little bit better, but you go down this list, 6 of 26 from 3 for Dallas, 10 of 39 for Boston, only 80 shots for Dallas, 84 for Boston. So the pace really hasn't been there. But if we just get a little uptick in the shooting percentage from 3 for both these teams, I think it does go over. But on the flip side, maybe you just say these are 2 good defensive teams, and they're going to be clogging up shots and making things difficult. I tend to lean with the Mavericks are going to win. I guess you could lay the -3. Probably no opinion on the total, but I do like Dallas to win. I think they're much better than what they've shown. Luka, you gotta believe Luka's going to be, the adrenaline's going. He's going to just try and gut through everything. And with his injury, it sounds like it's, nagging. It doesn't sound like Porzingis, where he could really, hurt himself for next season. So I think Dallas makes a big stand tonight. I would take a -3. Don't really know what to do with the total. I think it's pretty accurate. I wouldn't get near it.
I don't. This is the first time, because I'm with you, Andy. I don't understand the number. I've been trying to wrap my head around how this number has. And mind you, I mean, we had. I know Murray was hurt, but I mean, we have seen some very interesting numbers here when it comes to Boston against teams like Denver and Minnesota, same teams that Dallas has played. And they ended up, smoking them, no problem there. But this is the first time since April 9th. And that was, I guess, a road game, I believe, against the Bucks, in which they're actual underdogs here. So I get the Porzingis, will he play? Won't he play? There's arguments left and right about, do they need him to win? Do they not need him to win? Does that give an edge? Doesn't it? You gotta love X or Twitter or whatever the hell you want to call it these days. I am going to get a lot of my medical information on X moving forward, Andy, because the amount of doctors that are apparently on X is phenomenal. The free medical advice being given out on Porzingis here now. Everyone has really seemed to be honed in on whether or not this is an injury worth being concerned about. It's fantastic. Some people are very, very convinced that this is all just a smokescreen, that apparently he's going to come out, drop 35 tonight, and that'll be the end of it. How important is the game, Andy? I think you said it. We know teams that go down 3-0. I believe the running tally is 128-0 in NBA history, including 12-0 in the finals. So we know, and by the way, this has only happened 12 other time in the NBA finals. Any NBA series, teams that go down 3-0, none of them have ever come back to win a series. 128-0 is what we are looking at here, and 7 of those 12 have ended in a sweep in the finals. So what do we do here, Andy? Dallas has got to know they don't win this one, it's all but over, right? So will they force a game 5? If they lose tonight, what will we get with game 4? I gotta believe, especially when you look at some of these props, that go with what you got here, Dallas. I don't see how anything's going to change. The only guy, and the big guy that everyone's going to question, is, does Kyrie show up in this game at all? Is he a guy that is now the time to bet him? His number is still the same as it's been, though, and it's 23.5 points. So it's been 23.5 points for a month. Whether he makes it or he doesn't, the books are just laying this thing out at 23.5. So is this a setup, or what do we do here?
Well, he's an under. We talked about Kyrie being an under player in this series, under points, rebounds, and assists, under points. We even talked about taking the series averages, which I really liked some of those bets. We talked about Luka going over 8.9 rebounds per game in the series. He's ahead of pace on that. Kyrie way, way ahead of pace on the under on this one. So I can't really play. I can't play Kyrie over. You're throwing darts. I mean, this is a guy that's gone over in 3 out of the last 10 games. Now, the thing with Kyrie, though, is when he goes over, he goes way over. Like, he's had 30, 33, and 36 in those games when he's went over. But the games he goes under, 9, 12, 20, 16, 12, 16. So it's like you're either going to feel like a genius or a dope. However you play Kyrie on this one. I talked about playing Kyrie under. I gotta say, if you played Kyrie under in first 2 games, you're 2-0 on that prop, and I would just lay off of it. But for tonight, he's an under. You can't trust him. He's shooting the ball terrible. The Celtics look like they've really keyed in on him. And I mean, let's face it, Luka's banged up and cannot work that hard on defense, leaving the rest of the team to try and make up for his deficiencies. So Boston can really take advantage of that. They can work Kyrie a little bit more on defense, and they can really. Luka has no speed right now. So on offense, who's got all the speed? Well, that's Kyrie. So Boston keeps throwing more bodies at him, clogs it up. Now Kyrie hasn't done himself any favors with shooting the 3. I mean, 0 for 3, the other night. So he's got to make some of those, but. And also, Joe, I mean, the eye test, you talked about on Twitter, that everyone's a doctor. I mean, don't forget everyone's a lawyer. Everyone's a lawyer.
Yes, that's a good point.
And you talked about not too many games. Yep. I believe we've had 2 political convictions in the same amount of time as we've had two basketball games. But so,
correct.
And wait till the Olympics come around. Everyone's a gymnastics judge. For about 2 weeks.
That's correct.
No, Kyrie's an under. No, the Dallas needs him desperately to play much better. I mean, just the turnovers look terrible. The shooting looked terrible. Surely he's not going to play 3 straight games in a row. You would say surely, but don't call me sure.
I, for one, am looking very forward to the new breakdancing event in the Olympics. I don't know about you, Andy. I can't wait for that to show up. And I am waiting for that because that should be also fun there. Big shout out to the chat room right now. Catch you slipping in the house. A life in Vegas ready to go. Titan CT is here. Kelsey showing up with the wine. Always a pleasure there, Kels. Good to see you here. Have Cash going on. Shane is in the house. It is going to be an interesting night, I think, because we've got a couple of things working right now. And you guys tell me. Number one, I see Kevin Scott, Mark Davis, James Capers. I'm assuming they are just going to hold off on the extender until game 4 to see exactly what happens here. So Scotty Foster, I am sure, will be available for game 4 at some particular point. But I'm seeing Kevin Scott, Mark Davis, James Capers here tonight. Capers is a notorious home court edge in his career, and Mark Davis tends to go a lot of unders in games that he goes. But the bottom line is there are going to be a couple of key guys in this game that are going to matter. Does it matter that Jason Tatum isn't scoring points, Andy Lang? Is it because I believe his number has only come down one? I believe it was 27 and a half, 20. We're down to 26 and a half now in this one here. But quite honestly, is there any reason we're not betting Jason Tatum double-double? It just feels like rinse and repeat. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, no?
Yeah, the weird thing with Jason Tatum is his last 4 away games, he's blown over his points, rebounds, and assist number. Skyrocketed over his point total. But at home is where he struggles a little bit, which is such an odd, like it really doesn't make any sense. This guy's gone over his point total one time in the last 8 home games. One time, but he's done it, 4 out of the last 4 away games. So if you're riding that trend, you got to say, well, surely Jason Tatum's going to be shooting a little bit better. I don't know. I thought a lot of his misses at the rim were just so close on that he did get his own. He did get his shot. Like he got to the rim, it just kind of rolled out. It felt like it was one of those nights. I would just tell him to stop shooting threes, man. If you're the Celtics, just like get to the rim. We have other guys who can make 3-pointers. Derek White can make 3-pointers. Like even Al Horford is going to make some 3-pointers tonight with Porzingis, his injury. So I would stay away from Jason Tatum. I will tell you, I think some of the other role players, I think are going to have a big night. I'll start. I know Daniel Gafford's not the most amazing, sexy guy to talk about, but he's crushed his points prop in the first couple games. He went over by half in game 1. And what I like about this one is if you noticed in game 2, he seemed to have the edge over Lively. He outplayed Derek Lively 23 minutes to 19 minutes. He was 6 of 9 from the field. Lively was only 1 of 3, and he got 13 points, 9 rebounds. So it looks like Gafford is they might be leaning on him a little bit more. And Joe, in the third quarter, they were running set plays for Daniel Gafford. Gafford's kind of been a guy that, he grabs the rebound, put back, or, there's a lob. But they were running set plays for him. And just like I thought, Gafford was going to be a little bit of a problem inside. Now with Porzingis hobbled, Gafford has the big physical advantage in there. I wouldn't be upset about taking his rebounds. It's only 5.5. And he had 9 in the last game. Porzingis, another big body, who's not going to be in there. I think there's plenty of rebounding opportunities for him. And we've talked about Drew Holiday. I've talked about him a lot on this show, and we also did a complete breakdown of every single player and player prop on the show Props and Parlays today. That's up at the WagerTalk YouTube channel. So you want a deep dive on everybody? We've got that up there. But Drew Holiday, they still have his rebounds and assists at 10.5. It's a guy that's gone over in 6 straight. He's had 13 and 14 in his last 2 games. His rebounding chances, 16.5 per game the last 2, 9.5 potential assists. So talk about a guy that's getting a ton of opportunity. The other sneaky thing is I think he's only 7-1 for MVP. He's been the best player on the court for Boston. He really has. I know Tatum and Brown get the headlines. He has another great game and Boston wins tonight. He's going to be 2-1 or plus 150. So I think there's some interesting Drew Holiday, and you can't do anything with props with defensively, but defensively he's been great. So he's going to play max minutes. So those are a couple role players that I think. I shouldn't say Drew Holiday is not a role player. He's the guy. He's the guy. So those are a couple I really like. I also thought it was interesting. PJ Washington started going to the basket more and was not shooting. Well, he hasn't been shooting threes very good. They have his 3-pointers at 2.5, and he had that huge game against Oklahoma City Thunder where he had 5 made threes, and he hasn't gone over 2 since then. But he's been getting to the basket. And I thought that was really interesting. So he has gone over his point total in the 2 games, 14 and 17, but it hasn't been because of the threes. If he makes a couple of extra threes tonight, he should soar over this one. So I think PJ Washington at home is a pretty good look as well. I think the value is in just kind of the lesser guys, not the Lukas, not the Tatums, not the Browns. I think the value in props market is in some of these other players.
Well, I'll tell you this about you mentioned Gafford, not only rebounds, but his points prop as well. Just to put it in perspective here, he has not committed a personal foul on the court in 2 games, Gafford. Meanwhile, Lively, I believe, in games 1 and 2, has had, 6 personal fouls in 37 minutes? So I believe Gafford is going to get the minutes to go over whatever prop you want to look at there, Andy, whether it be the rebounds or the points. He has been much more the professional here. Lively looks like a rookie. Looks like he's in over his head. Gafford has already eclipsed those rebounds in 3 of his last 4. I can't see him not getting enough touches or not getting enough minutes in this one to actually get plenty of points and be able to cash a few tickets. And as far as Tatum goes, if you're staying away from his points, rebounds and assists have been golden with him. Actually, his rebounds and assists, Andy, it was 14.5, I believe, the first couple of games. It's now 15.5 as they have jacked it up 1. But still, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Avoid the points. Because, am I crazy thinking they're better when he doesn't drop 30? As crazy as that sounds. I mean, the record proves it. The record shows it.
No, you're absolutely not wrong. I mean, Boston, we haven't seen that Boston like that 10-minute stretch where they just go complete ISO ball, and it's like Brown stands with the ball for 10 seconds and goes to the basket, and they're one and done. Then Tatum, next time down the court, he gets the shot. He does 34 jab steps before he takes a contested 3. We haven't seen that big stretch. Maybe it's not coming, but they are better when Jason Tatum distributes the ball. This is a unique team where they have tons of options. Dallas needs Luka to go crazy. The rest of their team isn't that good. But the Boston Celtics, they have Drew Holiday. They have Derek White. They have guys that can score. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting that what I see that 6 of Jason Tatum's assists went to Drew Holiday with those back cuts where Boston's just napping, completely falling asleep while Drew Holiday's waltzing down the baseline to get a wide open layup. So wonder if they tighten that up a little bit because it is interesting that even though Tatum's gone over his rebounds and assists, he had 12 assists in the last game, only had 9 rebounds. So the rebounds and assists, can't argue with the number. I was surprised they raised it. They really haven't messed with anybody else's number. But Tatum's rebounds and assists, I'm certainly not playing the under on that one.
No, I would not look at that either here. We've got some interesting comments and some plays coming out of the chat room. John Finley back in the house again. Glad to see you figured out which room to show up in here today. Also, Grind at all times in the house on Instagram. Pleasure seeing you. He's already begun drinking, which is always fantastic. And we always appreciate the fact when he gets in here. And let me see here. Hold on one second. Just let me get rid of this dickhead here. Okay, good stuff. He's out too. So not you. Grind at all times. It is a pleasure to see you and Proud Sausage Boy in the same room. You don't often get a dude day drinking on Instagram with the Proud Sausage Boy, but he is here, and we appreciate both of you. Big Daddy, I believe, is in the house as well here today. Always a pleasure. And a life in Vegas ready to roll. All right, money splits. Here we go. I know that was the question from our boy there. I believe, was it Catch You Slipping? I believe wanted to know. what that was, or Have, one of those guys. So majority of the tickets are on Boston. Big portion of the money is on Boston. Dallas, I'm showing about a 38 to 41% split here on the spread tickets. Money line, a lot more Dallas right now on the money line than there is for the Celtics. The total is interesting, 212.5 now up to 214.5. Much more money, much higher percentage of the tickets are on the over, but it keeps going back and forth, Andy. It looks like there was a line drawn in the sand with this total here. It initially got pushed up, and I think it only got pushed up simply because they're thinking without Porzingis, that's going to give, obviously, Luka and company an opportunity to go back to their lobs, their easy dunks, and maybe get a few more points here. So, but again, it's got to be said, do we know for 100% sure he's not playing in this game? Are we 100% sure? And if he does play, what are we going to get from him? And is that just enough to keep Dallas from scoring 100 points, Andy? If they don't score 100 points, what the hell? They're not winning this game. So, I mean, I think that's the big question is, do we trust Dallas at home to get 100 or more points? Because if they don't, it's over. It's bye-bye. And I'll give you another thing. It better happen early, Andy. They better get into a rhythm and show us early that they can hit some shots, that they, and by the way, it also better show us early that Boston is continuing to struggle from three. Because Lord knows the numbers on the wide open threes in this series has been just astronomical. You are talking about, and I believe the numbers on wide open threes, 36 of them uncontested in 2 games Boston has had. They've only shot 36% on those. During the season, Andy, they shot 42% on wide open threes. So you need to keep seeing that happen early. Otherwise, it's going to be lights out for Dallas. So those who are going to look to Dallas early and often, and did you see what the first half line is, Andy? It's the same damn line as the full game. It's 2.5 in the first half. It's 2.5 in the game. So I don't know that you're not fooling anybody by backing Dallas early, but I do think the reality is if they don't have a lead, if they're not making the shots early, they're not making them late, Andy. I think the game is over at that point if they're not up early.
Yeah, I was looking at these spreads, and I mentioned in the first game, and I believe you and I talked about this, how like Boston has like one game a series they'll win by like 18 points. So why not sprinkle like Boston? I think we said like Boston 15, and they covered that. Well, you also could sprinkle Dallas minus 10 and get that at like 3-1. Their one loss against Miami was 10 points. Their one loss against Cleveland was when they got their breaks beaten off. So they tend to mail it. They're a team that definitely mails it in the second half when they're out of it. Like games close, that's fine. But when they don't like fight back, like when they're down 20, it's over. So I was looking at that. I was like, if Dallas is going to win, they could rip one of these where Boston just we'll get them next game. Like
I agree.
We'd rather win it at home. Let's give them this game. And if they're ice cold from threes, I could see Boston kind of laying an egg tonight. So if you want to get a little frisky tonight, maybe have a cocktail and lay that alt spread and hope for a blowout tonight.
Yep. I gotta see a couple of things happen early in this game. And again, we're not fooling anybody. The value it's so one way on Dallas early. Andy, listen, everybody and their mother knows team's down 2-0, heading back home. It's not, we're not pulling the wool out from under the book's eyes here, guys. They understand what's going on here, which is why, again, it's 2.5, which is exactly what the full game is. But the reality is, in this particular spot, if Dallas is going to have a chance, we need to see Kyrie in rhythm in the first half. We've got to see him be able to get a little separation, knock down a couple of threes. I also want to see, is Dallas going to go up tempo as long as Luka is not running out of breath and completely beat up? Because your Indiana Pacers, Andy, I think showed a bit of a blueprint on how this Boston team can be got to a little bit here, and it's by getting those buckets in transition and not giving the defense of Boston to play to set up in half court. The problem is Luka is so out of breath. He needs an oxygen machine out on the court. He don't want to run, but the reality is they have to run a little bit here to try to create some of those mismatches in transition, but they haven't done that, and the defense of Boston has kind of just eaten them up. 52.5 is Luka's PRA, Andy. 52. If he goes over, here's my prediction. If Luka goes over his 52.5 PRA, they lose by 20. How's that? That's my prediction here,
Wow.
Andy. If he goes over this, they lose by 20. That's because it can't be him. You cannot beat Boston with just Luka. So somebody else has to step up here tonight. And if we don't see it early, Andy, I don't think we're going to see it late. So, I don't care that we're not getting the best value in Dallas early. It's the only way I can look. And then hopefully if they finally have a lead at the half, Andy, then you have an opportunity to look somewhere towards the middle. I know there were guys in the chat. Was it Titan CT? A couple of catch you slipping. Some guys were looking to ladder Dallas like you were talking about. -2.5, -5.5, -7.5. They were just laddering Dallas up there, which is not a bad way to look if you're backing them. But I got to see it, and I got to see it early. It's worth the bet to me to bet them early, but they can't be giving up half-court threes to Pritchard, and all of a sudden they're down 5. Like, that's got to go away. They got to come out and leave it all in the first half. Got to see them leading in the front. But the question is, Andy, if this thing does go over, well, then how do we approach the props here? Because it can't just be Luka, and it can't just be, Brown, and certainly expecting Holiday to do what, 24, 25 points again? That's not. He did it because nobody else was doing it. So who else should we be looking at, especially if Porzingis doesn't go here tonight for Boston?
Well, you mentioned Luka, and I agree with you that if he goes over his points, rebounds, and assists, that may not be a good thing. I would say to you, if he goes over his rebounds and assists only, that would be a great sign for
Yes.
Dallas. And I'm looking at it right now. He's gone over, it's 18.5 rebounds plus assists. He's gone over this in 9 out of 10 games. He had 25 yes. rebounds and assists. That's Wilt Chamberlain numbers. And part of what I like about his rebounds is because he's hurt, they do try and hide him on defense, and he just ends up kind of underneath the rim, grabbing the rebound. You'll see one of the sneaky things, he gets like 2 or 3 rebounds per game where he wants to grab the board so he can get an outlet pass going. You see that with some of the guards. Jokic, he's not a guard, but Jokic for Denver, they want him getting the rebound so he can turn and fire away. So I like Luka's rebounds plus assists. It's hard to argue with 9 out of 10 games. A lot of these are over 20. So I would agree with you on that. If we're going over, this is what makes Boston so hard to do player. You know me, Joe. I kind of focus on a few teams throughout the NBA season. I don't know if I had any Boston Celtic props throughout the season. I did in the first game of the season. I took Porzingis over his 3-pointers at hit. I don't think I've had one since then, just because it's so hard to figure out who's going to be hot this game. If it's over, I would look at guys like PJ Washington. I would look at guys like Daniel Gafford, maybe even Derek Jones Jr. What if he pulls his head out of his you-know-what and figures out how to start shooting a little bit better? But you look at, Derek Jones Jr., 8.5 is his point total. He's gone over the last 4 games. Even in his last bad shooting game, he went over his points, rebounds, and assists with 16. I think you're right. If it goes over, it's a team effort. And what is the Charles Barkley saying? The role players are always going to play better at home. That's one of the big differences. Is on the road, not nearly as good. So I just really think the value is in these secondary guys. Who knows? Maybe I was chatting with somebody about Maxi Kleber, who looks absolutely terrible, doesn't trust his shot, looks lost out there. His point total is 2.5.
Yes,
All he needs to do is make 1 3-pointer. Just make one, Maxi. So that's the way it goes.
Think, to be fair with him, though, I think that's all about his shoulder injury. I think he's lost his shot.
Of course it's his shoulder.
He's lost his confidence because he is a guy that should, if healthy, he should have had a great opportunity in this game to help them. But yeah, it's mechanically he's a mess. I mean, he's not even hitting the rim sometimes, Andy. It's like, good Lord. So, but how hard would it be for him to get lucky at home and make 2 buckets, Andy? I mean, honestly, how hard would it be for him to hit 2 shots maybe at home? Like 2.5 was his point total? Oh,
that's his
Lord.
Point total. But the sad thing, though, is he's gone under the last couple of games. So you can see why. I mean, he had 0 points and 2 points. Yeah, he was like 0 for 4 from the field. And it is. Of course, it is all about his injury. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything. It's all about that shoulder injury. But I do have to ask your I have to ask your opinion about this, Joe. I think guys like Porzingis and Zion Williamson, guys like that, are the most dangerous contracts in the NBA.
Oh,
like
terrible.
You depend on those guys, and right when you need them, right when you need them, they're not there. That was a big knock on Porzingis, and man, he looked good at the beginning of the season. Same with Zion, looks amazing at the beginning of the season. I just. If I'm an NBA team, I almost look at some of these guys, just say you can't sign these guys. They're dangerous because they're so good, and then they're not when they just don't play. That Porzingis, man, they played with fire and they got burned. They got one good game out of it. Of course, if they win the series, then hey, man, it was worth it. But I don't know. Well, what do you do with guys like that? How can you give Zion Williamson a max contract, Joe? How?
No.
How is he going to make it through a playoff series?
I think Javi nailed it, too. He's like, you can throw Anthony Davis in that boat as well. And I agree 100%. These guys you got to keep your fingers crossed and hope they can stay healthy enough. Listen, we were joking before this series started, and everyone's like, oh, Porzingis, wait till he comes back. I'm like, well, we should be betting how many quarters before he gets hurt again. I mean, that was the real prop bet of the series, is how many quarters would you actually play? So far, Andy, he's played 1/2. He's played 1/2 of quality basketball, and then the rest is kind of, all right. This was a guy that was 50-1, Andy, for the MVP before the series started. And then after that first game, it was 6-1. Wait a minute. Whoa. Settle down. There is no way he's making it through a 4-game sweep. He ain't making it through, much less a 7. So how do you pay a guy like that when you can't trust him to stay healthy enough? It's absolutely bonkers. And dare I say, Embiid is in that conversation as
he's
well
getting there. He's absolutely getting there. Not
agree.
Getting there. He is there. He is there. I heard a podcast with a couple guys from Philly, and they were saying in the playoffs they should just not play Embiid in the first half.
That's correct.
just sit him for the first half and put him in the second half. That's all he can. That's all he can do. So and the other funny thing is people get really upset when these guys sit in the regular season. And now you're looking, going, they probably didn't sit enough. Porzingis probably should have played twice a week. That was the team's good enough to make it to.
Needs a little more help. Yep, I would much rather it that way than and yet you got that big Mama Luke in Denver who always seems to somehow muscle through, and which, by the way. It's unfortunate that they had the injuries and the thin depth that they had, because I do think Denver-Boston would have been the epic battle royale, because that's just the team that can match them with the length, with the shooting. Just didn't have the depth this year, and Jamal Murray not being healthy certainly hurt them. But he's kind of in that category as well. Long stretches without Jamal Murray is never a good thing either. Donnie, rather. Sorry about that. Donnie's throwing Kawhi in that list, guys, and he is absolutely 100% on, Donnie. Great call there. All-Star 617 wants to know if we like the over. I also believe Nicandro in the shorts has also wanted to know if that was the case as well. So here's as far as the total goes with this, Andy, I do think and to me, this is all about Porzingis. I think the total. If Porzingis doesn't go or is severely limited, he's coming off the bench anyway. I do think that opens up Dallas's ability to get a little more something going on in the paint. It'll be interesting to see the chess match, but I do think Dallas at home, and you mentioned it, with the ability of role players to play better at home, there's no reason not to think you're going to get. They haven't scored 100 points here, guys. They're going to have to go a little more up tempo. They're going to have to. I think they're going to have to try some different things here tonight. It can't be ISO Luka time, and that's how you're expecting to win. So I think Kyrie has to go there, and I think if you are betting Dallas in any way, shape, or form, you are betting the over. That's it. I mean, if you're betting Boston and you think Boston wins, well, then you might be. This is the one game so far, anywhere I think the total correlates to who you like in this series. The first two games, I don't think were like that because the possessions weren't there. Both teams were going slow. It was just, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, keeping it around 214, 215. I did not agree with that. But I do think if you like Dallas and you're betting them in any way, shape, or form, first half, full game, you're betting the first half over to go as well. Again, keep in mind, everyone's talking about positive regression for Dallas, Andy. Again, they had 36 wide open looks here in this first two games, and they only hit 36% of those from three. They're a 42% three-point shooting team when nobody is guarding them. So there could be positive regression for Boston as well. And if that's the case, Andy, this could be the one shootout that we get in the series here tonight. This could be the one game that flies over the total. So to me, I think this is Dallas correlates to an over. And if that's the case, you need a few guys to make a few shots. What do we do with Lively, though? Are we fading him because we're backing Gafford here tonight?
I don't really know what to make of Lively. I've been so focused on Gafford that I've really been focusing on him. Now we made fun of his fouls. Now he did only have one foul in the last game. He went full on Karl Anthony Towns in the game one where he racked up 5 fouls in like a few minutes. So I think Gafford has the edge. I thought it going into the season or the series. It's proven now. If it's proven that way, and without Porzingis, that's one thing about Porzingis. His blocks, his defense was really good at the rim. That's a big hole there in the middle. And Gafford is now probably the tallest and toughest guy inside. So I like him, to do well. We were talking about taking the over, and we were talking about role players. I made a little same game parlay while we were just sitting here. So this is on DraftKings. I think Dallas is going to win, and you think you got a good read on how they're going to win, which I believe the role players. You could take the over 202.5 and put it with Gafford over 6.5 points on his alt line and Derek Jones over 6.5 on his alt line. So you get a couple role players that only need to get to 7 points each, and you go over, and that's plus 125. So good price there if you're a believer in Dallas, and that could easily hit even if Dallas doesn't win. But that's a pretty good way to kind of stay away from the huge numbers of Lukas and Tatums and everything. And I really do believe in these lesser guys. I think they're going to be the key for Dallas tonight.
Yeah, and you're right, Ryan. It is imperative that Kyrie show up here tonight. He won't be having anybody. Well, if he continues to shoot like total ass, they will turn on him in Dallas, like they turned on him in Boston. So I can promise you that. But I would, and that's why I want to see it early. I think let me see something early. Let me see some rhythm. Let me see some threes. some confidence being built. Let me see some tempo early. And then I think they got a really good shot at getting one back here. And then we'll see what happens one way or the other. Ryan Hoffman, 2.5 threes for Kyrie, 23.5 points. Again, that's another one of these where if you like Dallas to win, you ain't going to win if Kyrie's got 6 points. I'm just telling you that right now. And sadly enough, you ain't winning if Luka hits over 52.5 in his PRA. You ain't winning that way either. So some guys got to be able to make a few shots here tonight. And the most reliable guy outside, is it crazy, Andy, has been PJ Washington, it seems. Can he make a couple of more threes? He seems to be the one other guy we can count on to get at least double digits in points in each game here. He feels like he is a guy that's also got to pick up the slack here tonight in this one. 2.5 threes, and you said it. He has not had more than 2 in forever, but it feels like if he's ever going to have that kind of night, tonight is the night to do it, no?
Yeah, and one of the nice things about PJ Washington is his minutes. He's playing 36 at the minimum. So he's going to be out there for, quite a long time. I mean, he took 13 shots in the last game. Only Kyrie and Luka took more. So, I think PJ Washington, 1 for 5 from 3-pointers. But again, if you're going to tell me I get a guy who's going to play 40 minutes and he's going to take 13 shots, yeah, absolutely. We talked about Gafford, but Gafford doesn't take a lot of shots, but they're all at the rim. So, he's a guy that's going to make 70% of his shots in this series. Whereas, Derek Jones is not going to be taking a ton of shots. And then you look at the guys coming off the bench that played last game. You got Kleber, Lively, Green, Exum, and Hardy. They were a combined 3 for 12. Thanks, guys. Nice work. Thank you. Nice spark off the bench. This isn't a team where you're going to have a lot of bench guys coming in and making shots. I mean, I guess you could flip that around and, say Boston. In Boston's last game, Hauser and Pritchard were pretty terrible. Porzingis was the only other guy that came off the bench. He played 23 minutes, 4-7. So they're going to have to. I mean, are we going to get a Cornette sighting tonight?
Yes.
Is this Boston team going to? I think he's going to have to play. You can't play Al Horford. I guess you probably could play Al Horford 40 minutes. What are you saving him for?
I'll tell you what they'll do, and this is why I'm going to be fascinated with this. If Porzingis can't go or is limited, do not be shocked if Tatum plays center. And that's the direction they go, because he has already played against, he's already been on Luka. So it's not going to be a big issue. He is going to, I think they go a little smaller and give, because you get Cornette on that court. Luka's going to hunt that down. That's going to be you're going to lose every minute that guy is on the court for Boston, hands down. That's exactly when Luka is going to feast. So I would not be shocked if they have Tatum play center and just go a little smaller. And sorry, Luke, not that you're a bad player, but good Lord. That's like Thanksgiving dinner for good old Luka, seeing him come out onto the court there, Andy.
Yeah, and this keeps going back to the inside, the guys like PJ Washington, Gafford, who can get points at the rim. Joe, how can you play Porzingis tonight? How could you put him out there? I mean, it was obvious when he got hurt, and then he was hobbling around, and for whatever reason, Joe Mazzulla was like, "Let's give him a few more possessions and see if he can walk it off." It's like, Joe, Mr. Mazzulla, he's very, very much hurt. I don't see how you play it, because, I mean, if you think Luka's going to hunt Cornette, they're going to hunt Porzingis big time. If Porzingis is out there hobbling around with a bad calf or whatever it is. I need one of those Twitter doctors to tell me the injury again. It was like 9 words long, and each word had 3 syllables.
Let me just open up X. Let me open up Twitter. Hold on. I'll get you the exact diagnosis, because there's an amazing amount of doctors available on Twitter with the Porzingis injury.
What's amazing?
This, though, Andy. But just for the importance of Porzingis, Boston is a net plus 25 when Porzingis is on the court in this series, which is about, I believe, 44 minutes. In the 52 minutes he is not, They're a net negative. They're even. So he is a big part of what Boston does. And if he's not there, in those 52 minutes he hasn't played in this series, guys, they've been a net neutral. So they have won significantly with him on the court those minutes. Without him, not so much. So it's a big part of why you should know 100% whether he's going or not, especially if you're looking to back Boston, Andy, because how much Boston money is going to come in the minute he's announced he's playing?
I probably a lot, but like this is one of those where, like, who cares if they say he can play? That doesn't change anything. He's not going to be effective. He's just not. He's not going to be able to have any of those chase down blocks. He's not going to be able to do a jumper. And like, who's he going to guard? I mean, and do you really want to risk that guy getting a long-term injury? Like, you get him hurt really bad. This is different. Luka's got like swollen knee and my back, hurt. But these are things where you just kind of muscle through it. This injury for Porzingis, this is not a muscle through it. This isn't like a pain tolerance thing. This is like muscles and ligaments and tendons are not attached properly. So it's a different type of, it's a different type of injury here. So I listen, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks bettor, I would love if they announced that Porzingis was going to play, because go, well, he's not going to be that effective. Or how many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to come in and spell Al Horford for, 2 minutes a quarter, maybe? But what's interesting about, you were talking about Jason Tatum playing center. I don't know why Boston has been so reluctant to do that. I don't know if they just thought, well, too much wear and tear for Tatum. We don't want to get him tired, but they really have seemed to not want to do that. Maybe because we're closing in on the end of the season, and what's the point of saving these guys? They might try it, but I have found it fascinating, especially against Indiana, which I thought screamed, play Tatum at the center, and they just didn't seem that anxious or that excited to do it. Maybe we see it again tonight, but yeah, Porzingis, I would be stunned if they trotted him out there tonight.
Titan CT wants to remind folks the only reason he's going to watch the game tonight is for a certain petite cheerleader. I will leave that alone. Kelsey is on her second bottle of wine, which is always fantastic. Eric D says already the money rolling in on the Celtics here tonight. Also, we've got Ryan says he watched a full 8-minute video on X about the Porzingis injury and still has no idea what the hell's wrong with him. So with you, and you appreciate the honesty there, without a doubt there, Ryan. I would also say this, too, and let's not confuse what happened in game 2 here. Boston didn't blow out Dallas in 2 games. They blew them out in the first game in the first quarter, right? And that was it, buried them there. But tell me exactly how big a role the defense of Boston played when they missed another 8 free throws in game 2, Andy. How did the Boston defense, how does that work? Make your damn free throws, Dallas. If you get to the line, make the damn free throws. If they would have made half of those free throws, Andy, things might have turned out a little bit differently. But for some reason, this team is so bad at the free throw line and can't be trusted that I hope that was the worst it gets. But they're at home now. There is no reason to shoot 50, 60% from the free throw line, Andy, in the NBA Finals, because that's where you can make up some of the points you're losing in other spots on the court. I mean, 16 of 24. Like, give me a break here, boss. You got to be able to win those kinds of battles in this game in which you're outmatched, Andy, and it has to start at the free throw line.
Yeah, I don't think Boston's defense has been that great, but they haven't really needed to be that great. Like you said, put them on the line. The percentages are with you that they're not going to shoot that well. Okay, fine. You can find Kyrie. You can take more of those contested threes. We just need to crowd you a little bit. We don't need to, and they've been missing corner threes. That's been talked about. So, I mean, sometimes you just let a team that's in a shooting slump, just let them shoot. Why
So
guard him
true.
on the outside and funnel him to the hole? Why not just let him keep jacking up threes and get ready to rebound? So I was. Who do you who do you think's more upset right now? Is it the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves watching the series? Who is more just watching going, are you kidding me? we would have
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Boston team.
The Oklahoma City Thunder is really pissed right now. I would be too. I would be too if I was OKC here because they didn't miss. All those role players didn't miss a shot in that series against OKC. Yeah, and now what a difference a day makes. Unbelievable. I cannot believe it. Shout out S. Warrior. Finally figured it out that there's a basketball game tonight. Outstanding stuff there. We certainly appreciate you showing up finally, as always. I think Kelsey drunk texted him and reminded him, but that's a whole different conversation and show there. We certainly appreciate it. Grinded at all-time likes. Kyrie over points here tonight. I am going to guess if you're betting that, you're probably also betting Dallas in some way, shape, or form here. Let's see what we have. Boston, we got a couple other questions in here. Andy, let me see if I can get to them here. Hold on. Also, Bokum Dano, great point. We were talking about players that you should never pay big contracts to because they can't be physically trusted. How about Ben Simmons? Great point there. He is like the poster child for don't give dudes money who can't stay healthy. Outstanding ball there by Bokum.
Ben Simmons is like the Pat Sajak of the NBA. Just like what a career. Like what a career. This guy won at life. Ben Simmons has won at life. Pat Sajak really has won at life. Pat Sajak didn't even have to read the answer, just the letters. Like made a career out of a guest saying, I'd like, an S. And he's like, S? So, but Ben Simmons, yes, another one that probably will not get another contract. You got to admit that team probably loved it when Ben Simmons showed up to what was the gala that he showed up to, just like flaunting his money and everything. Oh, just great! Like, could you get in the gym? Could you get with a chiropractor with your back? You mutt.
Hasn't worked out well for the Kardashian exes. It just has not worked out well at all. Steve wants to know: is Ben even in the league? Yes, Steve, that's the funny part.
He is under contract.
Yes, and he is under contract. He's getting a big-ass check every week, which is absolutely hilarious.
Here's the other funny thing about Ben Simmons. He is probably going to get traded because his contract is so big. Like there's a team that's going to want his expiring deal. Like Ben Simmons, believe it or not, is actually an asset because of how ridiculous his contract is. So we have not seen or heard the last of Ben Simmons and that massive deal. And the other interesting thing, Joe, this is a great topic to think about is this new TV deal. The salary cap goes through the roof. Teams are going to spend money on some injury riddled guys, and it is just going to be. You think this Ben Simmons contract is bad? Like, there's going to be some doozies where guys are going to get that monster contract, and as soon as their foot hurts, they're like, "I'm out of here. Thank you very much for the $700 million contract."
Be like, bye-bye now. See you out of there. Kelsey, it does mean that you can be in the league. Absolutely. You can join anytime you want. I'm sure you get a nice check from there. Also, unbeknownst to me, Andy, Kelsey has apparently started a drinking game where every time I say the word ass, they have been drinking. Apparently, they're half in the bag here. Sorry about that, Kels. I did not realize that was the route you were going. S. Warrior does have a shits and giggles parlay he'd like to share with the group. Hope you guys got your number 2 pencil out. Write this down. Parlay.
Oh, my God.
Here we go.
No.
Yankees run line, Dodgers run line, Mariners run line, Phillies money line, Orioles money line, WNBA Suns money line, Mavs money line, Kyrie over 6 points in the first half. What else do we have over there? Luca over PR. Did I lose you, Andy? Once again, Yankees run line, Dodgers run line, Mariners money line, Phillies money line, Orioles money line, WNBA Suns money line, Mavs money line, and Kyrie in some way, shape, or form. That is the kind of stuff we love, S. Warrior, that you bring to the table. I know that's why you were late. You were handicapping all of those games just to come over here and share it with us one last time.
Brian Powers Bar.
Yes. Were you hanging out at Team Power Bar? Is that where you are, S. Warrior? Yes, that is correct. That's what happens when you hang out with Brian Power. That's exactly how you get it there. Andy, what do you got locked and loaded? 5%er, I believe, locked here today for you over on your page of WagerTalk?
Yeah, 5% play of the week. Really enjoyed this the last few weeks where we focus in on a couple parlay pieces that we really like. We hit a 4%er 2 weeks ago. We hit our 5%er last week. So we're really enjoying this. Every week we'll have our big 5% play of the week. That one is locked and loaded. Also, it's PFL week. We have a PFL event on Thursday. So that means it's going to be a great week for MMA profits. We have a PFL and UFC pack that is up. There's a 4% play that is already loaded for that one. There's also a cross-sport parlay included in that one. 16-7 on our last 23 cross-sport parlays. 12-5 our last MMA plays. And we went 3-1 in the last PFL event. PFL is one of the hidden gems of money making and building bankrolls. PFL, if you've not watched, it's a tournament style. They have like a whole season, and the tournament style is based on points that you get for finishes, and it is so bet. It makes the line so bettable. They don't have it every week, so whenever there's a PFL event, we have to jump on board this. Like I said, we were 3-1, big night last PFL event. So lock in the 5% play and also get that UFC PFL pack. Those plays start on Thursday. Those are both up at wagertalk.com.
Love it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it tonight too, guys. Jason Tatum with the 15.5 rebounds and assists going up and over. He's going to play 40-plus minutes in this game with Porzingis questionable and not playing a couple of minutes. Andy, there is no way he is not going to be out there. I don't see listen, he's had 12 double-digit rebounding performances in the postseason already out of 16. 12 of 16, he's hit double digits with there. As long as this game doesn't turn into some crazy blowout, he'll have 40-plus minutes and an opportunity to get way over 15.5 rebounds and assists. You might as well play him individually as well. 9.5, I believe, still is what you can get Jason Tatum's rebounding prop right now. But if Porzingis is ruled out, that number will go through the roof there. And I am with those of you who are going to go Dallas first half. Andy, if we don't see it early, we're not seeing it late here, guys. So if you think Dallas is going to have a shot in this game, they better come out firing. I think they will in this one. But boy, oh boy, it's going to be interesting. And game 4 is what, Andy? 2 Tuesdays from now? Is that 2 weeks? When do we get game 4 exactly? When does that happen?
Isn't it Friday? Is it this one of those weird things where they just put about like all of a sudden we got to squeeze a couple games in? I think it is Friday. So have a week off and then let's play back to back. The scheduling of the playoffs in the NBA is really something. Yeah, it is. It's Friday. It's Friday, and then and then if we go to game 5, that's Monday. So not great for Porzingis.
No, it's not. Also getting a question on Holiday. Rich wants to know Holiday PRA, Andy, with him, and I believe the number is 24.5 with this one here. I also seen 16.5 points and assists for him. So, I mean, he has been the guy. What did he have last game, right? 26 points, 11 boards in game 2. And then he was 11 of 14, 41 minutes. Is this something we can consistently expect from Holiday in here with 40-plus minutes a game?
I keep saying rebounds and assists. That's the category I want. No Porzingis, one less big guy out there. This guy's had 16 and a half rebound chances in the last 2 games. He's gone over rebounds and assists in the last 6 games quite easily. 13 and 14 in games 1 and 2. They're still hanging it at 10 and a half. So whatever category you want to pick with Drew Holiday, I would say it has to include the rebounds. He's been getting a lot of rebounds. And also, just know, like, defensively, he's going to be out there like as many minutes as Brown and Tatum. He's going to get plenty. If the game was close, it wouldn't surprise me if he might be looking at a 43 to 45 minute game. So even more opportunity. So I believe in the rebounds and assists, but I'm certainly not going to tell you to take an under or stay away from any other Drew Holiday prop. My advice is you want rebounds included in it.
All right. So the final question for the chat, and you guys leave your answer in there for me. Who has more points tonight? The Minnesota Twins or Kyrie Irving?
Oh, that's a great prop. Oh, that's a great prop.
Lay it right now, guys. There it is. The Minnesota Twins in runs or Kyrie and points. Which one gets more we meet again on Thursday? Which one? We got Twins. Eric D's all over Twins. Javi saying Kyrie. Let's see what else we got. Luke Cornett is going to bring it home for the Celtics. Talk about day drinking. My goodness. I'm only kidding, BM Tank. Always a pleasure to see you. Kelsey says the Twins. Let's see here. You can't go wrong, I think, with the Twins. 17 points. They got 17-9 still. Unbelievable. And they weren't in Colorado, were they? They were in Minnesota.
Hey, could you could you do Cornett points with lively fouls?
Oh, that is outstanding. That's a good one, too.
That's a fun one. That's a fun one.
Cornett points or Derek Lively fouls tonight, guys. Which one? Which one gets more? Oh, that is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. All right, so Have Cash, a pleasure. Eric D snuck in. Don't know where that was. Pleasure to see you there, Eric D. Eric D is also saying lively. Definitely more fouls than Cornett points. Donnie hanging out there. He's going Cavs money line, I believe, tonight. Tatum and Cavs. Who was it? There was somebody in the chat room that says this is going to be like Miami Game 7, in which Tatum twists his ankle like the first 5 minutes into the game, and then they're going to be down Porzingis and Tatum. Boy, I tell you, I don't wish that on anybody except for the first half. If he wants to do it in the first half, I'm good to go. No problem there, because that's where we're on Dallas. All right, big night and big week coming up. Don't forget, Andy lock loaded in the U.S. Open, 5% best bet for this week, ready to go. He's got PLL. He's got everything you need on his page over at WagerTalk. As always, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Michael Barrett, appreciate you. BM Tank, appreciate you. Kelsey, cheers. God damn it, just cheers. And thank you once again for drunk texting S. Warrior and reminding him that we were all here. A life in Vegas. Pleasure, my man. Good luck, Big Daddy. Mr. Finley and company, Ryan Huffman, you guys are the best. Cash those tickets tonight. We'll be back again on Thursday with a Game 4. Will it be for a title, or will it be, I don't know, for yet another win for Boston? This is going to be interesting over the next couple of days. Either way, cash those tickets, guys. We appreciate your time as always. Give us a thumbs up on the way out and come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll do it then. Best of luck, guys. We'll see you soon.